Is ChatGPT the new Midjourney? Until recently, Midjourney was regarded as the #1 AI art generator, while ChatGPT was only used as an AI writer. But with ChatGPT's latest update, you can make AI art directly in the chatbot, which means instead of coexisting like they have before, they're now competing to be the two best AI art tools on the market. So I tried the same prompts in both platforms to see how well they did at making realistic-looking people, adding text, editing images, and ease of use. Hey everyone, welcome back to AI Marketing and Creator Tools. OpenAI, ChatGPT's parent company, created the AI art tool Dall-E 2 back in 2022, right around the same time we learned how to use Midjourney. And if we're being honest, back then Dall-E was just okay. Its image creation abilities were not as polished as Midjourney's, so anyone who was actually serious about making AI art used Midjourney and not Dall-E. Fast forward to today, and OpenAI just released their latest version called Dall-E 3, which is completely integrated within ChatGPT. I used to be all in on Midjourney and I'd pretty much written off Dall-E, but now I'm not so sure. Our first test focuses on one of AI's biggest challenges, which is making people that don't look ridiculous and sometimes creepy. With the evolution of Midjourney, people have gone from creating, well, whatever this is, to things like this. I mean, it looks like a professional photo that belongs on a website, in an ad, or wherever you'd usually use stock photos. So let's open up Midjourney and try to create our own realistic looking person from scratch. I made sure I was using version 5.2, which is the most recent version at the time of this video. I wanted to start with a really simple prompt, so I asked for a photograph of a person that's very realistic. At a quick glance, most of the images look pretty good, but if you look more closely, it feels like they're digitally enhanced. But the image on the bottom right looks like an actual photograph. I knew Midjourney could do better, so I went to my library of old prompts. I won't read it all, but you can see it's very detailed and mentions things like lens style and focus. The result was incredible, and you'd have to be an expert in this style of photography to realize it's AI. Now that we've seen what Midjourney can do, let's test out ChatGPT. If you're new to making art in ChatGPT, you'll need to be a Plus member to have access. Open up a new chat, go up top here, select Explore, and then click Dall-E to open up a new conversation. As a quick side note, Dall-E is now a custom GPT, which is OpenAI's latest attempt at making ChatGPT apps. Dall-E used to be part of the chat, but now there's a GPT specifically for art. We actually just did a review of the most popular ones in one of our latest live streams, so make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any in the future. Now, to make the art, you can talk to ChatGPT the same as you normally would. I'll use the same simple prompt that I used in Midjourney, and right off the bat, I can tell this person looked more like a drawing than a photograph. Then I tried the high-level prompt, and all I can say is that ChatGPT nailed it. If you look closely, you can see convincing details like the lines under his eyes and even his pores. When we put the results of the simple prompt side by side, I think Midjourney is the clear winner. But with the intricate prompts, I have to say it's a tie, which just goes to show that ChatGPT is more than capable, at least with the right prompt. Next up, we're testing how the text looks in AI-generated images because it usually looks pretty weird. If you've tried making art in Midjourney, you're probably familiar with its attempts at writing words but missing a few letters, or the word uses some completely different looking alphabet. When I asked Midjourney to do something like make a stop sign, one was missing an O, another was missing a P, one didn't have any text at all, and the other spelled the word completely wrong. Everything else in the image looked pretty good though, aside from like the whole point of the picture. So could ChatGPT finally be the solution for adding text to AI? When I went to ChatGPT, I asked it to make a stop sign and all it needed was one take. But I wanted to take things further and see if I could make custom text. So I asked ChatGPT to make a movie poster with the text Explore Mars, and it actually performed better than I expected. It did give me some extra words and letters that didn't make sense, but it still did what I asked. And you might think that after Midjourney's stop sign fiasco, it would have trouble with customization, but I had to try it anyway. I don't want to give away the word yet, but here's the image that I made using the raw parameter. Now I have been able to make text with Midjourney before, but it takes several attempts, and it doesn't do well at incorporating text into a complex picture. Unless the main focus of your prompt is the word, chances are it won't look good. If you do really want to add text to your art, your best bet is to take it into a design platform like Canva and add it with their latest AI features. We cover how to do this in our Canva Magic Studio tutorial, and we'll leave a link in the description. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. And speaking of editing your AI images, you might be asking yourself if Midjourney or ChatGPT can make any edits on their own. Let's find out. When you input a prompt in Midjourney, it'll always give you 4 image options, and for each one you'll see a variation button or an upscale button. When you click variation, you'll get 4 new images based on the style you wanted a variation of. When you click Upscale, the image will be isolated from the grid of 4, and it'll be higher quality, which comes in handy when you want to download and repurpose your image. After upscaling, you have a few options like zooming out, which lets you expand the image's exterior. So if you created a picture of the Earth, you could keep zooming out and get an image of the solar system, all while keeping that same original image intact. You could also use the panning buttons to choose which direction to expand your image. But one of Midjourney's best editing features is their Vary Region tool, which lets you select a specific part to change. This is similar to how Adobe Firefly's generative fill tool works in Photoshop. We just posted a Firefly tutorial on our channel, so go check it out. So what about ChatGPT? Well, its editing tools are pretty much non-existent. When you make an image, you won't see any buttons prompting you to make changes. I took an image of a field and asked for a few variations, and while the variations were similar, none looked like the original. Basically, anytime you ask for some edits, it's like you're making a new image from scratch. My last test was to see which tool could come up with a better thumbnail for this YouTube video. The rules were that all images and backgrounds had to be AI generated, and the only thing I could enter manually was the text. Because this video is about Midjourney versus ChatGPT, aka Dall-E 3, I want the thumbnail to show that there's a comparison happening in the video. ChatGPT generated a few cool images that could pass as thumbnails if I added text. For Midjourney, it wasn't even close to one-shotting the thumbnail. I mean, what about my prompt made you think my video had anything to do with cats? Come on, man. So I realized I was gonna have to build the thumbnail elements step by step, starting with the background. It came up with a cool duotone, so all I needed now were my two AI robots staring face to face. How cute. After a few attempts, I got my robots, one with this cool pop art style and the other with some double exposure. I took these images over to Canva so I could use the background remover and add text. As you can see, both thumbnails were pretty different, but it gets the point across. Make sure to vote in the comments on which one was your favorite. To wrap things up, I want to discuss the key differences between each platform, starting with pricing. Dall-E requires you to be a ChatGPT Plus member, which is $20 a month. This gives you access to plugins, web browsing with ChatGPT, and the latest feature, custom GPTs. So you aren't just paying for art. Midjourney's plans start at $10 a month. And because their platform is art-focused, it's easier to make more art, since you always get 4 images with every response instead of getting 1 or 2 at a time like with Dall-E. Ease of use is another major factor. Midjourney runs on the popular platform Discord, and for some of us, figuring out how to use Discord on its own is hard enough. And once you've learned how to use it, understanding Midjourney is a different beast. Midjourney prompts have so many parameters that it takes a lot of learning to actually create what you're looking for. But ChatGPT is simple, and you can basically talk to it like you're a beginner and get good results. So right now, I'd say Dall-E is the more beginner-friendly platform. And overall, I find myself using Dall-E more often than Midjourney. It's quick and easy to open up ChatGPT and make something that looks good with minimal effort. Even though Midjourney has a wider range of capabilities, it still requires more precision and experience to get what you're actually looking for. So that wraps up today's ChatGPT and Midjourney comparison. Thanks for checking out AI marketing and creator tools. We'll see you next time.